Behold the chimera, an ancient mythological beast where its front head was a lion, protruding out of its back was the head of a goat, and its tail was a serpent. More recent drawings actually portray all three of those heads side by side, sort of like the three-headed dog or a hydra, something like that. But the ancient ones were definitely this obscure and almost obscene-looking freak of nature that just did not belong anywhere on planet Earth. Today I'm going to talk to a chimera. He's a lot more friendly and a lot less intimidating than those ancient drawings, but nevertheless an incredibly fascinating person. I'm Brian Johnson, and this is Nobody You Know. I'm here at the Redmond Proficiency Academy with one of the teachers, John Lewis. John, tell me a little bit about what you do here.
I am teaching 6th grade. I teach both math and some social sciences, so some social studies, but basically math is my general topic of teaching here.
And yet today we are going to talk about a fascinating reality in biology.
Okay. A little biology, genetics, yes.
Okay. I know why we're here. We've already done some messaging, or I wouldn't be here doing this. But let's take this one step at a time.
Okay.
You were a twin. What are the? It's my understanding the types of twins are fraternal and identical.
Sure.
Anything I've missed?
Well, actually, within even identical twins, this is just through some of the study that I've done, and with my fascination with who I am, but. Okay. Even within identical twins, you can have mirror image twins, so they could be left to right, right to left, or complete identical. So even within twins, there's always some differences within them. For instance, my brother and sister are twins, so I have fraternal twins in the family. Okay. And there's always been twins. My mother had twins in her mom's side, and everyone's, as I've heard through, again, talking with folks, have had twins. So kind of runs in the family. And
now I managed to skip out on biology class entirely from kindergarten through college. Identical twins is when one egg gets fertilized, and after it's fertilized, it separates.
Right.
Fraternal is when two eggs come down the fallopian tubes.
Correct. So from what my limited research is, I was supposed to be a...
Oh yeah, this is your story.
So this is mine. Somehow it came back to that.
This is fun.
So somehow I was supposed to be a twin, but this is where, again, there's some debate about what happens, and I've never done the testing. Apparently there's a test you can do to find out, and I'll get to that in a second, but... Either I absorbed my other brother, sister, or they just became part. I guess it'd still be absorbing, but like I internalized it. Mine is kind of, there's a presentation, I guess, is the one way. So I demonstrate some of these split body pieces.
But just to make sure I understand and we understand. In theory,
yes,
there were, briefly, 2 zygotes in your mother's womb.
Yes.
And yours got really hungry.
Or very...
and ate your siblings.
So, like we were talking about, maybe I was an alien and decided to absorb, but I don't, like I said, I don't know the genetics or the actual physicality of it, but... There's enough out there where something occurred where the 2 became back to 1.
Okay.
The best way I can, I guess, is tell you that is, again, if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't have the physicality that I can demonstrate to you. So that's what...
So for his cannibalism, the god Typhon, who created the chimera, has punished him with visible genetic traits.
Yeah, So a lot of this actually came out, and I've known some of the unique things. So the first thing is I have a blue and a green eye. Mm-hmm. Now, later in the day, I don't know if you can see it right now.
They're not strong.
But in the morning, or if I'm out of the light, it's very obvious. So the first thing in the morning, my wife can easily see I have a blue and a green eye. And that was kind of my first indication that I had something, genetically it happened to me. I had some dysmorphia or whatever it might be. But there are people such as Sting who have I can't remember the actual name for it. You might want to look it up. But where one eye is different than the other eye. Now his was something to do with, I think he got poked or something, but there are actual people that are born that way with one eye, one color, and dogs, huskies I believe are the breed famous for this, but neither here nor there. But in me it was a blue eye and a green eye, which indicated to me like something was going on. I don't know what it was until I got to high school and we started doing Punnett squares, I think is what they're called, the little XY genome squares, where you're supposed to genetically track. So it's like why you have blonde hair, blue eyes.
A lot of people have blue hair.
I had it for a while myself.
Popular color.
For what I could do with my hair, as you see, it's not much, but I did do blue and pink.
You got more than me.
It counts still. I then looked in, well, what are some of the other genetic markers besides eye color and hair color? And one of them is like rolling the tongue. So if you can roll your tongue, you have a certain genetic marker. So everybody in class, of course, is trying to roll their tongue. Yeah, so you can do it. And what I had to do actually is I had to learn how to do it. So I had to like stick my tongue out, and I actually have to look in a mirror and see. So if I watch in the video, I might be able to see it. I have to actually focus on making it happen. So it's not like just a unconscious type of thing where I can do it automatically. So that kind of stuck at me. And then one of the next things was the hitchhiker's thumb, trying to see if your thumb...
I have one each.
And there you go. Yeah. So maybe you have some of this genetics a little bit too. So being able to have that extra curve to your thumb is the hitchhiker's thumb. So you might have, maybe you're a chimera as well. So maybe we're brothers along the way here. What twin did you eat me?
Don't try to eat me.
Watch out for you. I've looked at my body as well. So it's probably very hard to see, but you might be able to see it in person. But like if you look at my head, I have one side that's rounded, one side that's flattened. I know you might... Maybe it doesn't show up so well.
Well, now that you're pointing it out, I see.
And so...
When I walked in, I wouldn't have noticed.
Well, and here's the crazy thing that made me kind of look at that is I have one ear, and I'll have to show this to the camera. There's another genetic marker one. I have one that's attached.
One that's detached.
And one that's, another one dangled. So another genetic marker that should only appear one way. So basically, by looking at all these genetic... traits and hair color and eye color and all those things, it showed me that there were multiple DNA kind of mixed together. Now, the test is they can actually draw blood and do DNA testing on it to see the different, because you would actually have some blood or DNA from that other twin in you. Now, it's a very specialized and very expensive test, so I've never done it. Not to say that I shouldn't, but...
From what you know then, not necessarily of yourself, but just of chimeras in general, when they have that blood test, can they actually read two blood types?
They do, but again, I've also read there's quite a few where only one shows up at certain times. So it could be like almost like you're cycling, you're going through cycles. And I mean, I'm not trying, but my wife does, like, I'm John Robert Lewis, so she'll say sometimes I'm talking to John, sometimes I'm talking to Robert, or is it your time of the month? We get into, stuff like that where it is. I've lost him already. Yeah, I do have that type, and everybody has it. I'm not saying I'm completely unique in it, but there are distinct...
Take pride in your genetic freakishness.
I am definitely freaky. I mean, I can show you different things with the way I do. Like I can do the, live long and prosper versus the nanu, the whole more and more.
That's me.
And, but I can't do it the other way. So I can't now.
I have to think about it.
Yeah. So then crossing fingers or certain things. And
we may be in the same family tree.
Yeah. So we'll have to check later. I do have the not the 21andMe, but the DNA test done. So yeah, a lot of it was just kind of me looking at me, and I'm not one. It seems like when I look at all these things. So.
Does any of this, is any of it to a degree where you, feel it affected when you're walking? Do you feel something different?
Like I said, I definitely go through swings and shifts. Like what I like or what makes me feel good, the type of music but again, that could be kind of personality as well. But I mean, I know that there are times when I want to do this thing and I'm not going to do, like, I'm a big sports person. Mm-hmm. I played sports throughout everything. But there are also times where I could basically hate it and just like, no, I don't even want to do that. But then 2 days later, it's, oh yeah, I want to go out and watch baseball or something.
Which would be hard. It'd be hard to say just because people have tastes.
Exactly.
So it could just be a mood swing. Yeah. But who knows if it's interesting.
One day I'll really love to have a chocolate bar, Snickers. Mm-hmm. Next day, get that away from me. Just not. Go to a store and want to buy something for music choice, and so downloading, rap, and then it's like the next day, well, I'm going to go country, and then, and again, like you said, a lot of that is personality and, and things like that, but there are definitely moments where I feel the difference.
Okay.
Yeah. So my wife calls me John versus Robert, and I said some days it's my blue day, some days it's my green day.
Does she notice, or does she just do that jokingly?
I think she notices.
Do you actually have a?
I think there's interaction differences, and she is very empathetic and feels me, and just being together. I know we do that as a couple, but I think as she is very attuned to it, and she'll definitely know when, like I said, when she's talking to one side of me versus the other, I guess is the way to say it. She'll approach and say things a little differently if it's, it's that time of the month or whatever, I guess, if I've shifted the other way. And she'll literally go to one side or the other to say, hey, I need to talk to the green side. So,
is it as sudden as you go to bed one night feeling one way and you wake up the next morning feeling another?
I think it's even as sudden as, like I was maybe even with the music, like a certain type of music will come in. So, and maybe that's a split personality problem as well. I guess if I want to psychoanalyze myself.
Will it just change halfway through the day? You've had that?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
In 5 minutes, you may be suddenly yelling, "Get out of here! Who are you?"
Yeah. I could just, it's a complete switch, and maybe we'll say, that's just you, at the end of your rope or whatever. But I think it is where I've flipped to that other person, or I've changed that, Robert, and he wants to have things his way. And
as we were planning this on Messenger, part of me was wondering why the ancient mythological creature got connected with basically just a biological difference. But you're talking now, it had the head of a lion, the head of a goat, and the tail of a snake. And wings. You're talking now about having, you're not just two different colored eyes and a head with non-symmetry. But that was the most polite way I could think of it. But
I'm odd. It's okay.
But you actually change moods. You change thought processes.
Well, and that's I've looked into that as well, and that's almost, I like to go back into like mythology exactly and look at, well, where's that kernel of truth to that story? Mm-hmm. And I think there was a group of people, or there were many things that were going on, or somebody had a split personality or a dual personality, and they were showing these different things, and so they said, well, you're acting like a lion this time, or you're acting like a goat this time. And so then all of a sudden that story got, this one, he was a goat and he was a lion. So, I'm not saying that's reality, but a lot of stories are built from, and it could have been somebody who had...
a lot of mythology was their way of remembering their historical events and their people and all that. So,
they could have completely made it up, but I think it came from something... real, and
something inspired them to create that.
And
creature.
Certainly a chimera, somebody who was, and it's been showing up throughout history. Like I said, you can go online, and I forget the actual percentage, but it's a very small percentage of people who actually are. So you could have said the sages or something like that, like because they had two different colored eyes, or a witch doctor because they were able to, show their thumbs, or had two different sides to their body, or just it could have been anything. But that story then, like you said, got changed and passed along. So, it certainly could have been, but, I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking today with John Lewis. I grabbed him just after class, so we'll wrap it up here so he can have a break and I can get this online before 6 p.m. Tuesday. And so thank you all for watching. Remember, if you enjoy the series, hit subscribe and the bell. What else am I supposed to? If you like the episode, click like. If you are within Central Oregon, let me know if you've got something interesting about you, and one day I'll have a budget and I'll be able to say, if you live in this planet, I can fly to you.
There you go.
Until then, we're homegrown, but
local.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Brian Johnson. This is Nobody You Know, only now you do.